Hi, I'm going to talk a little bit about a topic that's already been discussed in this series, but I think it's important enough it can be spoken about from so many angles. And this is the topic of who you really are, the nature of ourself. And it's something that non-dual Advaita speaks of very clearly. Buddhism tends to speak of it in terms of negation. There's more emphasis on the aspect of emptiness, or the empty aspect, than the creative or aware cognitive aspect of awareness. And try to think of it this way to start with. Again, it's not a common presentation in Buddhism, but to get started running, to hit the rubber on the road running, so to speak, imagine one awareness, one central awareness. And then that every sentient being, every conscious being, every human partakes of that one awareness. So there really is only one self with many bodies, so to speak. This awareness that I have, this clear awareness, is the primordial awareness. It's called our original nature. This awareness that you have. Now, normally the mind, think of the mind or the eye of the mind. Say it can focus on objects, or it can focus upon itself. When it focuses on objects which appear within the field of awareness in any case, but when we focus on objects, usually we perceive this external world with a myriad, million objects, million things. Some things we grasp onto to try to bring in, some things we try to push away. We also think of the content of our mind, certain aspects of it, as our self. I create actually a self that I cling to and try to keep solid, which it isn't, and then by reinforcing it by bringing in objects or thinking, creating thoughts about the self or defending the self. If I fear I may die, that's a horrific thought to the self, to the ego rather, because it represents total annihilation. But in reality, what we're talking about there is identification with the content of the mind. So you have to, it's like peeling off a layer of the content, which is pure awareness. Now, one thought that I wanted to convey when I was preparing this talk is that this is based on awareness. It's not something, when we talk about the mind being cognizant and empty, the emptiness of the mind, we're not talking about something out there, when the Hindu talk about Brahma, it's not some object out there, some thing. This is derived from direct experience in meditation. And, first in meditation you practice calming the mind, but then you begin to practice looking at the mind and discovering the very nature of the mind. And these concepts of emptiness, clear light, these are based on experience. They're not philosophical postulates or assumptions that someone is to believe. It's not like in the West a lot of times, a bunch of philosophers or theologians sit around and say, well, it must be like this, it must be like that. No, it's based on direct experience, so that a human being, whether it be a Hindu or a Bon or a Buddhist, can actually get to the point where they are in contact with this pure, pristine awareness, which has no content, crystal clear. But once you click into that, that's the recognition of the nature of mind, then you can see how every object appears in the field of awareness, and in fact every object that we can get lost in is yet still that pure emptiness, that pure awareness. And the term empty simply means that if you look for that mind, if you look for a characteristic, a substance or whatever, there's nothing there. What's the color of your mind? Who's asking what's the color of your mind? What's the flavor, the smell? There's nothing. Where does the thought come from? Where does the thought go to? Where does the thought abide? This invisible mind, which is said, even the Buddhists cannot speak about it, is experiential. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about emptiness. We talk about nirvana. Again, it's not some ideal where all the emotions are extinguished. In fact, feeling will continue. What we call emotion, those energies will continue to flash all the time, and they're a form of appearance. They become wisdoms But this is all from direct experience. So again, going back to these examples. So notions. Imagine one central awareness, central consciousness that we all share. This is our Buddha nature, and it's clear. And also, it has qualities that are brought in. So as we practice, as we reach the highest practice of Dzogchen, of abiding in the clear presence, in our own clear presence, which is really who we are, this clear, contentless, crystal-like awareness, qualities begin to infuse our world and our personality. So it's not a neutral, bland kind of thing, but a powerful thing. It creates the world when you think about it. There's nothing that exists outside of the circle of your awareness. Because if it's outside your awareness, you don't know about it. And if everything were outside your awareness, you wouldn't be you, you would be a nothing. And there's no such thing, actually. So another example I've come up with, it's a little more modern, it's a little forced, but think of a central computer and say 20 terminals that work off that CPU. Now each terminal will have its memory, its programs, but the central processing unit is one. Now this CPU runs so fast that all 20 computers can run at the same time. Each individual sitting at that unit, at that extension, doesn't know that there's 19 other people sharing that CPU. And in the same way with our awareness, the Dharmadhatu, the Dharmakaya, rather, awareness level, we all share it. We all have it. Even insects have a Buddha nature. And it's one of the reasons for which to admire and respect every living thing and protect every living thing, because really we are one. It's our own body that's being hurt anytime anything living is being hurt. So in any case, you again imagine this one awareness, we all share it. When I experience that awareness, it is contentless. It is clear, but within it appears the content of appearances. And perhaps, you know, when we speak of appearances as illusion, it's a device, again, to help you let go of your grasping, of your attachment to content, to objects, because as we let go of that grasping, we begin to allow more and more of that clear awareness, which is who we really are, our real self, so to speak. But we've got to also bear in mind that that self is nothing material, nothing substantial. You know, in the biblical traditions, for example, we have the word God, but it tends to imply something. Of course, in the more primitive beliefs, you know, God will be like some individual, some old man with a beard. Some of the Jewish sources have the thrones, and that somebody saw the throne flying. Anything, if it has any form, it's not it. Anything with form, it's impermanent, or in imagination, like some of these visions probably are. So the whole notion of, the whole teaching of emptiness, the whole teaching of formless emptiness, emptiness and forms, leads us to let go of the grasping and then acknowledge that there's no way our concepts can touch that. So it's a sort of a discipline to stop short of thinking about, because it's impossible to think about in any case about this awareness presence, although it can be experienced. So we have to realize that even when the Hindus speak of Brahma, in that sense Brahma is empty, it's void, because that's how our mind perceives it. And if you speak of the mind of God, quote unquote mind of God, that clear pristine awareness, that clarity, presence awareness, is indeed that mind. And you know, writers such as Meister Eckhart have talked about that, the uncreated, how the soul created God and God created the soul, and they both meet where there's no soul and there's no God, so to speak. So to meet God, so to speak, we must be in an image-free, concept-free dimension, and we're aware. However, again, the teaching that the object world is illusory, it's dreamlike, it's true. It's true in comparison to that dimension. However, there is a value to the phenomenal world. It matters how we act. We are aided by the rules of conduct. For example, in Buddhism, there's the 10 virtuous things and the 10 misdeeds. These should be observed because karma can be generated negatively